still want to ask questions, I can stay and then we can do that. But yeah, I mean, today I didn't really get anything out of the markets. There was really nothing for me in terms of, trading either London session or New York session. So I didn't really get anything worthwhile. And then also in terms of the opportunities on gold and on Nasdaq, they haven't shown yet. Price is still basically retracing from the opening price of what happened after the news this weekend. But yeah, I mean, let's quickly look at the news for today. Today we had PMI data come out. It was more positive, which is also why we saw, a bit more of a bullish run on the indexes. However, structure on Nasdaq and on US 500 is still pretty bearish. That is also why I was looking for more of a bearish setup. Also, with regards to what's going on around the world, the markets are likely to tank a bit more. Okay, so yeah, man. Today there was nothing, but I'm still waiting for some structure to form to hopefully capitalize off of that. And yeah, let's quickly move on to tomorrow. Tomorrow, Tuesday, there isn't really anything happening, so it's going to be a no news day. However, on Wednesday we have PMI data and ADP non-farm employment change, and you guys know what happens during days like these. One could be positive, another one could be negative, and then they counteract each other, right? However, if both are positive, we could see a nice positive movement, but if both are negative, we could then see some more negative and bearish movement for the US dollar, right? But yeah, in terms of Wednesday, it's not really the type of news I like to trade after, mainly because this is also so late, being 5 p.m. when ISM Services PMI comes out. Most of the opening volume has already passed by then, right? Which isn't nice, and then thereafter you might just see some volatility. But yeah, let's see what happens on Wednesday. And then on Thursday we have unemployment claims coming out. I think this is the third consecutive time of it coming out, third or fourth. So yeah, I'm not expecting anything too crazy with the unemployment claim. So yeah, on Thursday we might see some good structure for some good trades, unless again something catastrophic happens around the world, a new country gets bombed, or a different president dies somewhere. It's just crazy stuff going on. Yeah, and I mean, just to also touch on that, this, especially learning to trade right now, for you guys who are still a bit new to trading, this is a very, very difficult time to trade. Here and there people might catch some good moves. I mean, especially if they trade gold, they could catch some good opportunities. However, if you trade any other markets, it's difficult. Yeah, let's move on to Friday. Friday we have a lucky packet of news events, right? We have average hourly earnings, core retail sales, we have non-farm employment change coming out, retail sales, and unemployment rate. What people really want to see is non-farm employment change details, right? So that is going to give us a better scope, or a better viewing point to see what the US economy is doing in terms of their employment changes, right? But yeah, crazy week this week. I'm expecting some more, insane volatility. Not necessarily the volume I like to trade. You guys know I like, structured trades, good volume. I don't like all this crazy business. But there could also be some good opportunities during all of this crazy business, right? Which is, yeah, it's a bit wild. But yeah, that is really it this week in terms of the news. Yeah, the other thing is also with the news updates coming out, I do urge you guys to look at Truth Social and X if you guys don't have those two, so you can also stay up to date with all the wild things going on. I'll maybe send a few accounts you guys can also follow, because those are a lot more up to date. You don't always see this here on Forex Factory. Yeah, let's quickly cross over to the charts for Nasdaq and US 500 and of the like. Yeah, question? No question? Oh, I thought I heard something. All good. But yeah, on Nasdaq, I didn't really see that retracement into the range here. There was also no buying opportunity really in terms of structure right there, right? So we just saw this impulsive move higher, and then price did not come and test this imbalance right here, right? Which makes it very difficult in terms of risk to reward, because you have this 5-minute imbalance or 15-minute imbalance that wasn't settled, right? So this could then also still be a draw on liquidity, or where price would want to rebalance its structure, right? Or where there's a void in orders, however you want to look at it. Okay, so yeah, there wasn't really anything there in terms of a bullish move or in terms of a bearish move, so nothing today. If we look at the daily structure though, quickly grab that and delete this. Right, so we always look at the, delete the alert, we always look at our closest order blocks. Okay, in terms of structure on Nasdaq, this is our closest bearish order block, that's here. Okay, that one there. And then in terms of bullish order blocks, this one, I almost said these, this one was the closest one that price invalidated today, right? So I think I heard a message come through. Let me just check. Oh, nothing there. So yeah, in terms of structure, price invalidated the current low, so that objective is now filled. However, there is still some unsettled business down here, right? This low right here, which is a massive point of interest, and this low down here. If we also look at the structure on the daily time frame for Nasdaq, right, it is still pretty bearish, because we don't have a new bullish order block being formed here yet, right? So since this one was invalidated, nothing has been created yet in terms of actual structure, right? This candle today can still bounce around, boom, 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 right? Not really forming anything. If it closes bearish, there's still no order block that's created. Then there's still opportunity for price to come and take out these lows, okay? However, if price closes bullish today, it does make it a bit more difficult, especially since price opened all the way down here, right? Traders don't really like seeing this type of price action because it's unclear, okay? Price opened up here, closed, will now potentially close all the way up here, right? So we might have to wait an extra few days for price to settle on Nasdaq again, if nothing crazy comes out, okay? If price decides to close bullish today on this candle, okay, what we then have is a new bullish order block that we can take as a form of structure, okay? If we go down to the 1 hour time frame, let's just see if there are any imbalances. So To the left right here, we already see that there is a 1 hour imbalance right here. Okay, this one and this one. Price has not closed out this one yet. Okay, it's still open. Let me just see here. Delete this thing. Right, price has not broken past this current high yet, right? So when the market decides to break this high and closes above this high with a candle body, then we can see price potentially going into these imbalances a bit more freely, right? Because in terms of structure, that would be the closest point of interest, right? The closest point where there's either liquidity or orders that might be set, okay? In terms of our fibs, remember that we always look at the fibs from both directions. So seeing as the structure is still pretty bearish for the day, okay, and potentially for the rest of the week, let's just see what it looks like from that current high to the current low. Okay, so from the order block to the furthest swing low. Okay, now going back to the 1 hour time frame, we can see that the 78.6% fib is in this imbalance, right? However, this isn't really the type of price action I like to see when it comes to pairing up an imbalance on the 1 hour time frame with the 78.6% fib, right? Why? Because if price comes and closes out this this fib point right here, this would be, you know, kind of like an optimal trade entry point in terms of risk to reward, right? But there would still be this imbalance here that wouldn't be accounted for yet, okay? So if price decides to do this potentially, let me just create this pathway. If price decides to do this, right, and come off of the 78.6% fib, there's still potential for it to go into that imbalance fully. And then just depending on volume and the volatility that we receive on the day and the time of day, that would also give you a good indication of whether price is going to continue bullish to this next point of interest right here, or if it's going to take this imbalance as a close and then come back into this range and decide to continue bearish, right? So there's a few things that we would need to look out for then in terms of overall price on Nasdaq, right? Especially for a potential long-term bearish move. Now, in terms of a bullish move, right, we do the same thing. We just take it from the order block low now, from the bullish order block, to the current high. Let me just straighten this out. Okay, so this is the current low of the order block. Let me pull it to the current high of the order block, which should be there. That's our furthest point from this low right here. Right? That's our closest swing. We can't look at these previous swings here, only this one right here, right? It's relative to this order block. In terms of price and in terms of, you know, imbalances, we don't really have any imbalances on the 78.6% fib that matches up with structure, right? So there's nothing here that we can look at in terms of trade entries. However, we do have this imbalance right here, okay? So what price could do is decide to either come down to the 50% level before it continues higher. That's also an option, okay? We want to look at all of the probabilities in terms of price. Or it could rather come down to the 61.8% or 62% level and then decide to continue higher, right? That is an option if we are looking for price to continue bullish into this imbalance. Okay, we'd need to look at all of these points of structure. Now, if the price decides to come down rather to the 78.6% fib, then the only point of interest that we can look at is this order block low of the 1 hour time frame. Okay. This would not be ideal because if price breaks the low right here, okay, then the closest point of interest for the market to drive towards, right, its next point of objective, or where the next group of orders would be below these lows, right? So if price breaks past this low, closes past this low, this would then be the next target. Okay, then on the day we would obviously scale down and then see where we can find some opportunities. Okay, but that's it for Nasdaq. Something like this could also happen before I continue, where price comes down, sweeps this current low, and then just decides to range in this daily order block range right here. Okay, especially since there's still some uncertainty going around in the markets. Okay, but yeah, that is it for Nasdaq. And yeah, do you guys have any questions in terms of price, in terms of structure, what's really happening right now?
What's up, though?
Sorry, man, I didn't hear you too well. You said?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Are you good?
Nice, nice. I'm good, man. How are you?
Lekker, man.
Nice.
The first thing that you were doing, yeah?
Yeah,
So you use both sides, like you measure the price leg both ways,
yeah,
bottom and top.
yeah, yeah.
So would your equilibrium be your deciding factor then of those fibs? Because the equilibrium will be the same, right? 50%. So would you then look at what price does at the equilibrium to determine if it's going to go higher or if it's going to go lower to the lower areas?
No, I don't really look at the equilibrium. For me, right, if I were to look at the 50% of this level right here, right, if price comes to 50% level, it it doesn't really give me an indication of whether there's a trade for me or not. I'm not sure how you look at it, right? You might look at it
Uh-huh.
completely differently, but for me, I haven't really seen a correlation of what if I get opportunities around the 50% levels, right? I do, however, have something like that, but that's with a different fib structure, okay? But not
Okay.
the specific one, right? For this
Okay.
specific one, if price comes to the 50% level for me, I just take it as okay, the next point of interest could then be the 78%, 78.6% for me, right? But also,
Yeah.
if price comes to the 50%, there's also no guarantee for that continuation higher or for a reversal lower. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But where I see most of the interaction with price in terms of giving me opportunities is around the 78.6% fib, right? Especially lined up with a 1 hour imbalance like this, right? This imbalance is a bit too big. What I would have liked is for structure to be here still, right? So maybe like a wick of the previous candle, and then this be the imbalance, right? So if price pushes into the imbalance for me, boom, I already enter there. If I were to take an order block long term swing position, right? So a position like this, I would then swing for about a week or two. Okay.
Wow.
And then my first target would be the 0% level. Second would be uh, minus 27%, and then the last one would be minus 61.8. Right. So that is something that I often see happening, but for me, it just takes too long, right? Because a lot of the times when I take a position like this, then it still gives you a decent risk to reward, but they don't happen as often, and being able to send setups in the community is nice because everyone learns them from it on a daily basis, right? Not everyone wants to be
Yeah.
a swing trader. But yeah, like I said, most of my opportunities I find around the 78.6% fib. And then with the 78.6% fib, right? What I've also noticed is that, or what's factored into the system, is if price taps in against the 78.6% fib and finds, kind of like a resistance around this level, then I know, okay, there's a higher probability of price reversing and then possibly coming to hit my TP, right? However, on the day, if price closes with a candle body above the 78.6% fib, then I know that, right, this structure is not holding. Then my next target would then be these highs to then possibly trade towards. You see?
Okay.
Yeah, so if this doesn't hold, then I know, okay, this is the next level. That's where price will most likely go toward.
Okay, cool. We've got two great ideas. The first one, the setup alone.
Yeah. You know what? Okay. Uh, maybe I should send you those things so you can see that also, because there is a breakdown of how this works and how everything works
Okay.
interconnectedly, because it's
Yeah,
it's
man, I'm down for learning all the time.
yeah.
So, yeah, man, let's do it, bro.
Okay, okay, now I'll send it to you after this now. Right.
Thank you, man.
No problem.
Um, so I wanted to also ask, ne?
Mm-hmm.
So, obviously the war is quite big right now. There's a lot of uncertainty
Yeah.
in the markets, and a lot of volatility as well as it progresses. So would you use that as a factor for a bias as well,
Yes,
or
yes,
to support like a certain position?
yes, yes, definitely. Right. So, I mean, with the war going on, there is still lots of uncertainty, and especially for you who trades gold, there's lots of opportunities um, with
Yeah,
trading gold, right? So that buy side liquidity is always up there. Um, but now it also depends on whether the markets are now going to be open for us to trade that, because a lot of brokers, prop firms, institutions are trying to shy away from that volatility and don't really
yeah,
want people to trade on their platforms then, because that means it could be a possible loss for them, especially if there's no one in the opposite direction trying to sell gold potentially.
yeah,
um, but yeah,
yeah, man. And the spreads are like super, super tight. They the whole day.
tight spreads, wow.
Yeah, crazy. So I did catch those buyers on Friday, and then I did hold, and then one of my friends sent me a picture of this how the US struck Iran,
Mm,
and I knew already, okay, cool, we're opening in buyers.
mm,
So it was quite a good position. The first time I'm holding through like the weekend.
mm,
Um, and then, yeah, I got a bit hasty, so I did pull out once it took the first high, and I see it did sell a bit off. So at the moment, I'm looking for buy positions on that, but that's, yeah.
mm, mm. Yeah,
All right, cool. Well, thank you, bro, for explaining and for the information, man.
nice, nice. No stress, man. But yeah, I mean, I was also up late last night waiting for the market to open to potentially get something on gold, but by then that gap was already too big, so I didn't get anything. So I'm waiting for something to happen either around 9 p.m. tonight or maybe later. Yeah. Alpha said, didn't you say gold is heartbreak? Yeah, gold is heartbreak, brother. for me, for me it was.
Bro, I'm so sorry. I lost you there for a second.
No,
What were you saying?
I said I was also up late last night, waiting for a possible position on gold, but I didn't get anything
Okay.
because
Oh,
by then the market had already, spiked up or opened with that imbalance, and today there was still nothing. So I might look to see if I can find something around 9 p.m. tonight, or maybe around 1 a.m. or 5 a.m. tomorrow.
so my execution time is also at 9 p.m.
Is it?
I'm waiting now for it to just wait a little bit lower.
Mm,
There's a small liquidity pool that I'm aiming for on the 1 minute, a double bottom.
mm,
So I'm gonna see if that's taken, and then I'm gonna look for a change
mm,
in direction.
yeah. Yeah, maybe I'll show you guys also now what I've been looking at for, well, with gold. Because, what I found was that the system that I trade on gold is really inconsistent with gold. And alpha, that's also why I said gold is heartbreak. Because
Yeah.
now I would get like a very good setup where, all of the boxes are ticked, and then that setup flies. But in most cases, what I get with gold is I don't really get entry opportunities on there, right? So this weekend I was sitting a bit and just looking at when most of the volume comes in on gold, how it reacts off of certain levels, and then on the 1 hour I didn't really get as much, but on the daily and the 4 hour I got some decent structure, and I think I got, well, I didn't really backtest it. I just played structure and just saw like how it moved, and
Yeah.
yeah, I think I was around like a 60 something percent win rate on that, which isn't too bad,
Uh,
you know.
yeah, I know that's good.
Yeah.
And considering like your risk reward ratio, that's very profitable, you know?
Yeah, the risk to reward that I was looking at was a 1 to 2 consistently, but a lot of times what I would see on gold is once it pushes, it pushes. You could get like a 1 to 3, 1 to 5, 1 to 6, but I was consistently aiming for just that 1 to 2 level. Uh,
So I found like when the Nasdaq goes into like this slow movement consolidation,
mm,
then gold really like pushes and extends out through its daily ranges. Um, but when the consolidation on gold happens, it lasts for like 3 days. So you'll get a good trading day on Monday, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it's consolidation, and then like another really good opportunity on the Friday.
mm,
So I was caught up a bit. I'm sure you guys seen in the comments that I leave.
mm,
Last week I did take a L, I think on the Wednesday, and then I realized, okay, it's the consolidation. I need to like chill.
mm, mm. Yeah, I mean, last week also wasn't the best for me. I think I missed out on like one good trade, and um, there was another one also that I think I missed entry on. So yeah, and then I got one, so I'm up like, I didn't really check. But yeah, man, you've been killing it on gold, and you really inspired me to look at gold again. You know, and then while I was looking at gold, all of this stuff also was starting to go on. And I was like, okay,
Thanks.
let's see.
Um, so for me, I had this robot, né,
Mm,
that traded gold, and
mm,
it made me a lot of money, but then I lost even more money on that. So I developed like this really heaviness towards gold.
mm,
Um, And it's only like for the past 4 weeks that I've been trading it because the Nasdaq was really eating me.
Mm,
Wow. Like I'll be up and then all of a sudden it changes direction.
mm,
So I decided to look at gold and study it a little bit. And look at like the structures, look at like the fib retracements because I've seen a lot of videos where people are using fib retracement levels on gold. So I thought like I won't really look for strategy on the internet or social media, but I'll try and find it myself. And I think that's what made me like very much consistent in, taking the setups and confident in taking the setups as well,
mm,
because it's not something that like I seen someone do or I learned from someone. I
mm,
watched price and I measured price and stuff like that.
mm, mm. Yeah, no, that's good. That's really good. And that's also something that if everyone that I had as a private student, I always told them, you need to now find a market that you like and that meets your time requirements, that has a similar volume, and you need to now break it down, right? So similar to what I do with US 500 and what you're doing now with gold, right? You need to find your own way in how you trade it, right? So that's
Yeah.
awesome, man. That's awesome. But yeah, like you said, sorry, like you said, Nasdaq and US 500 and all of this. Look at all of this slop here, man. This is not nice. Yeah, so finding those impulsive moves in this structure has not been easy because a lot of times I think you've also seen price just pumps and then you don't get an entry opportunity, and then when it
Yeah.
comes back to retrace and gives you that opportunity, there's very little follow through in terms of what the market is doing with that move. You know, if you're not a scalper and you now want to swing a position throughout the day, which
So I found that in consolidation, yeah, like
mm,
this. And I found this on the 1 minute and I checked it on the higher time frames now.
mm,
Um, there's usually like a double bottom or a double top that
mm,
forms, right? So there's a lot of, dirt in between.
mm,
But if you find or you see those places,
mm,
um, usually like the first liquidity that's taken, and then it will reverse the opposite way, and that's
yeah,
how you'll find the direction in the
mm. Yeah, I think it works very similarly to what I do actually with price taking out the current high or the current low and then comes back into the range, potentially
yeah.
with those double tops and double bottoms. But trading on the 1 minute is very difficult for me. Not because I sorry I didn't hear. I think cut there for a bit. But yeah, just to finish my thoughts, so you guys can also hear. Just because when you are sending messages and doing all of this multitasking and catching up on this and doing that, you miss a lot of opportunities then. So that's why I stick to the 5 and the 15 minute for entries. Then I can still catch something and then still send it, and you know. Um, yeah, what has really been working for me, sorry, or a market that I've been looking at, especially during London session, is wait, are you there? What's going on? I think there was some vibration or something. But yeah, just to finish my thought, also for you guys, is Euro JPY. So Euro JPY at like 9 a.m. has been giving me some good setups. On Friday and today there wasn't really anything, but in terms of the you know the structure that I look at for the pre-market open, price taking out the high or the low of the current 1 hour order blocks, and then getting an entry opportunity on there. That's really been working for me on Euro JPY, but mainly on the 15 minute. I haven't really been looking at the 5 minute. So here's an example, right, of price consolidating, breaking through, coming back into the range, and then closing here, right? However, last Friday we didn't really get that continuation of price lower. I actually entered on the 5 minute here, right there, as soon as this 5 minute candle closed in the range, right, for an impulsive move, but nothing impulsive happened, right? I then moved my stop to break even, and that's why I got stopped out at break even. This morning I didn't get anything on EJ, and as you can see, price has just been consolidating. But yeah, EJ during London session has been very nice to me, very nice. And as you guys know, I only sent the New York session setups because I need a session where I can just, sit and focus on a pair and trade it. But yeah, let me quickly go through gold if you guys want. Then I'll quickly show you what I've been looking at in terms of structure on gold and what I look at, right? So when I do send possible setups, or I do, send updates on gold, then you know why I look at it, right? So let me share this tab. I did do it on Traders Casa because that Think Trader platform keeps kicking me out when I backtest on there, and obviously I don't want to pay for something if I already have a profitable system. But yeah, this is basically what I look at, right? So I look at the daily time frame on gold, and then I see what my directional bias is. So very similar, well, not very similar. What I do in terms of structure is I look for the current daily order block, right? If I have a daily order block like a bullish one, then I base my trades off of that, right? So I would then be bullish, bullish, bullish until I have a bearish daily order block. Then I'll be bearish, bearish, bearish until there's a bullish daily order block, right? But what I look for is entries on the 4-hour time frame. Like I mentioned earlier, with the system that I trade, especially with the pre-market open and then having the current 1-hour high, current 1-hour low. Tim, I think you trade the, I almost said the imbalance strategy. The, what's it called now again? The, Tim, help me out, man. Not imbalance.
Yeah, sorry, John. Now, I've also been looking at the mostly your impulsive move now.
Yes, that's the one. Yeah. And sorry, you were saying, Tim?
No. I'm only focusing on that impulsive move now. So
Yeah.
waiting for the session to open and then look for an impulsive move. Yeah.
Yeah. Has it been working for you on gold?
Not so great. Otherwise, not really. Got to wait till later, at least for the first 2 hours to try and find something. But yeah, it takes a while, especially on the 1 hour, trying to get a sweep. Yeah, so it hasn't been working out so great.
Yeah.
I think maybe the 4 hour or looking at a bigger time frame is actually a much better option.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, just like you say, right? It hasn't been working for me on gold all that great. But yeah, like I said, what I've been looking at is the 4-hour, right? So I would wait for a 4-hour order block like this, and then I would enter off of the new candle after the order block, right? So let me delete all of this. These are all of the trades that I've kind of like just mocked, but I'll delete all of this, and then you guys can see this is now which date? December. Okay, so in terms of the daily time frame, right, price is still pretty much very bullish on the day for gold. And then, like I said, I would only be looking for price to run into the opposite direction and go bearish if I have a bearish daily order block. Very similar to this, right? So on the 4 hour, the times that I looked at that I find the best setups is 1 a.m. These are now South African times. So 1 a.m., 5 a.m., 9 a.m., and then it's 1 p.m., so 1300, 1 p.m., and then 5 p.m., and 9 p.m. So these are when all of the new 4-hour candles open, right? So I'll play it, and then you guys can see. I would then just wait for a new 4-hour order block to be created. Like I said, if price is still bullish, I'll let it run, let it run. So there's a 4-hour bearish order block being created now. However, the market is still pretty bullish, right? There's no bearish daily order block that's being created here yet, okay? So currently we can see that price is starting to want to create a bullish 4-hour order block, and there we go. All right, so this is 1 a.m. That's when you had that bearish candle. 5 a.m. is when we found this bullish candle, and then after this 4-hour bullish candle closes, right, the next one should open at 9 a.m. So at 9 a.m. if I have a 4-hour order block like here, this right there, right, I will take this as my point of structure, and then my entry would be automatically on the open of this new 4-hour candle. My stop would then be below this current low, and then I would look for a 1 to 2 risk to reward trade, right? This is now obviously a swing, so this is something that I want to do on the funded accounts because it would be nice to swing on there, and then I would also have, you know, a lot more capital available to trade with on there. So then I'll just swing it out, and as you can see, there's very little pullback on gold, especially on the 4-hour time frames, right? Which is pretty crazy. The only time that you see pullbacks is when the daily is trying to find some form of structure, right? When it wants to create a bearish order block or a new bullish order block, and it still wants to find its feet, right? So right here, I would then take profit, okay? If you want, you can then have a possible runner. What I've seen is that if price breaks past a 1 to 2 risk to reward, it quite often comes back into the profit range, and then goes back higher if it wants to continue, right? So if you put a stop loss here, or if you move your stop from break even to your TP, there's a high likelihood of price coming and hitting your stop loss and then continuing. So what I would recommend is taking some positions off, still keeping your trade at break even, okay, maybe closing out 70% of your trade and then letting the rest run, right? So that is a possible trade that you could look at. You see, boom, comes back into the range. What price would then do is possibly fill this imbalance or come and seek liquidity at this next low. But again, looking at the daily structure, the daily is still pretty bullish. Coming back to 4 hour, where did I take this entry? This was 9 a.m. right? The next one opened 1 p.m. This is now 5 p.m. The next one should open at 9 p.m. And as you guys can see, I'm doing this all while not having seen this before, right? This is just something I've been testing over the weekend, and which is what I want to put into practice now coming forward. So yeah, price came and swept this low also, filled out this imbalance, and now there's a new order block created here on the 4 hour time frame right there. Okay, I would then look at the daily time frame again and see, you know, what price is doing in and around this area if I have a bearish order block to go the opposite direction. If not, my bias remains bullish. Okay, so on here, what I would then do, you know, if I didn't get this imbalance here on the open, so here you can see Friday closed bullish, right? So a new order block was created at 9 p.m. on Friday. You can already enter, right? And then on Monday, when the market opens again, then you would already be in profit with that bullish gap, because price is technically respecting the structure, right? And then look for 1 to 2 risk to reward. Again, play it out. Again, this imbalance is here, so there's a high likelihood of price coming back down to this level. So this you could run. If price is already in profit, you could, you know, chip away like 50% to still give it some breathing room. So this is all happening on the Monday, pretty low volume day. The stop would have been taken out. So there, I would then do that. And then go back to the daily. As you can see, the daily is showing some bearish structure. I would then just wait for a new day to open to give me, you know, indication of what price wants to do. So daily is still bullish. Here we have a new 4 hour order block created here. Alright, so let me delete this so it doesn't get too messy. Bring this one over. There's the new 4 hour order block. Okay. Again, if you have a cent account, this would likely be possible. If you want to trade on a, you know, a broker account, but on funded accounts, this would 1000% be possible, right? They also wouldn't be too pressed with you trading in this way because you're swinging, and yeah. So right there, what time is this candle? This is now 5 p.m. Put stop below that, and then look for a 1 to 2 risk to reward, and then just play it out. Let's see what happens. Again, this imbalance is here, so and then on the day, daily is still bullish, but we're seeing some pushback there in terms of structure, right? Price doesn't really want to break this previous high that we have right there, but in terms of overall structure, it is pretty bullish still. So right here, you can still incorporate the 78.6% fib. Price has closed above the 78.6% fib. There is still room for price to come back into this range to close out this imbalance there and then go bullish. Okay, so that is something that you could see, especially since the market is slowing down there a bit. But yeah, these are just some things to keep in mind, right? Let me go back to 4 hour, keep playing it. And for this, you need a bit of patience because you obviously need to swing it, right? Here you could have had an additional entry opportunity. It just depends on how you want to work it, right? But yeah. Let's see. And if price is now creating new highs and new lows, what you could do is, try and trim off some of your risk that you have on the table. If price comes and takes you out, you know that you didn't put all your cards on the table, But yeah, like I said, in moments like this is when the daily is kind of struggling to find some structure. But other than that, if the daily is very bullish or very bearish, price just flies. See what happens. I think that's what's now Friday. Monday should open now. See, again, same thing that happened the previous week that closed out. Friday closed, but Friday here is 9 p.m. or 1 a.m. That's when you had your last candle open. I'm not sure if you can still enter there, but on here, this is where you could have had an additional trade opportunity, right? With this 4 hour bullish order block, stops below this low, look for 1 to 2 risk reward. Same thing, you just look for 3 candles, 1, 2, enter on the third one, boom. Okay, and there you have it. That is basically the system that I've worked out on gold now this past weekend. Okay, and there you have it, TP hit. So that's 1. Here you took a loss. 2, if you wanted to, like I said, you could have had multiple entries in and around this area to follow price bullish still, right? Cool. Any questions, guys, regarding that? Nothing? All right. But yeah, that is basically what I'll be looking at looking for rather on gold moving forward, right? That's how I'll be trading it. But yeah, if you guys don't have any other questions, I think we should be good for tonight then, unless anything else comes up. You're more than welcome to reach out to me. And then, yeah, have a good one, gents. All the best.
Cool. Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Cheers for
Cheers,
now.
guys.
Bye.
Cheers, guys. Cheers, guys.